I have no fear of men who gather in marketplaces to cheat one another. Those words came from Cyrus the Great, the most powerful ruler on earth, directed at the most feared warriors on earth, the Spartans. The irony? Sparta didn't even have marketplaces. This single moment of contempt, born from total misunderstanding, set the stage for the most consequential civilizational clash of the ancient world. To understand how it happened, we need to go back to the fall of a kingdom. 546 BC, Cyrus the Great has just conquered Croesus and the Lydian Empire. But Lydia wasn't merely a kingdom, it was the overlord of dozens of Greek cities along the coast of Asia Minor. These cities, Miletus, Ephesus, Colophon, Priene, and many others, are the Ionian Greeks, Greek-speaking populations lining the western coast of Anatolia. Overnight, they have a new master they never chose. And here's the key detail. Cyrus didn't invade these cities directly. He inherited them as a consequence of Lydia's collapse. The Greek cities were Lydian vassals. They became Persian vassals by default. That distinction matters. When a conqueror deliberately targets you, the response is clear. But when your overlord simply changes, when nobody asks your opinion, the situation becomes ambiguous, and ambiguity fractures people. Some cities saw opportunity in the new order, others saw tyranny. Those different readings of the same event split the Greek world from the very start. Miletus, the wealthiest Ionian city, a center of trade and philosophy, made a cold calculation. Before Lydia even fell, Miletus had secretly capitulated to Cyrus. In return, it received favorable treatment. And conveniently, the oracle of Apollo at Didyma, Miletus' own sacred site, prophesied that Cyrus was destined to succeed. Divine endorsement right on schedule. But other cities refused. Ephesus, Colophon, and many more had endured Lydian overlordship. They weren't about to trade one master for another. They wanted freedom. The problem, no single city could resist Persia alone. Unable to mount a defense, the resistors sent envoys across the Aegean Sea to the one Greek power that might help, Sparta, the most militarily formidable state in Greece. The Spartans deliberated and declined to send an army. Sparta, formerly known as Lacedaemonia, was characteristically reluctant to campaign far from home or cross the sea, but they didn't ignore the request entirely. They sent a herald, a single diplomatic envoy. In the ancient Greek world, a herald carried sacred immunity. Harming one was an offense against the gods. This man would cross the Aegean, travel inland to Sardis, Cyrus's newly conquered western capital, and deliver a message to the most powerful man alive. The message was pure Sparta, terse, blunt, devoid of nuance. Do not harm the Greeks of Asia. The message was delivered, but it's the response and what it reveals that truly matters. Picture this. The Spartan herald arrives at the royal court in Sardis, the conquered capital of Lydia, now transformed into Persia's western headquarters. The palace reflects Lydian wealth fused with Persian imperial power. Through interpreters, the herald delivers his one-line ultimatum. Cyrus studies the man. He doesn't react with anger or alarm. He turns to his advisors and asks a simple question: who are the Spartans? When told, he delivers his response, not a threat, but mockery. I have no fear of men who set aside a place in the center of their city where they gather to cheat one another with oaths. He was describing the agora, the Greek marketplace and civic center where citizens conducted business, debated policy, and swore contracts. It was the heart of Greek urban life. Then he added a warning. The Spartans should worry about their own safety. Cyrus didn't take the threat seriously. He didn't take the Spartans seriously. He didn't take Greece seriously. Here's where the layers of misunderstanding become extraordinary. Cyrus's insult about marketplace culture, public debate, commerce, oath-breaking describe the Ionian Greeks perfectly. Miletus and Ephesus were great centers of trade, philosophy, and rhetoric. The agorae were the engines of their civilization. But Sparta was the opposite. Spartans disdained commerce. They used iron bars as currency to discourage trade. Their assembly permitted free speech among warriors, not marketplace haggling. They prized blunt honesty and military discipline above all. And here's the deepest irony. Sparta's culture resembled Persia's more than it resembled Ionia's. Both were warrior aristocracies. Both viewed merchants with suspicion. Both maintained rigid social hierarchies built on obedience and honor. Cyrus insulted the one Greek state most like his own, and dismissed the one diplomatic overture that might have led to understanding. The Greeks' inability to respond collectively compounded the disaster. Their fierce devotion to individual city-state autonomy, Eleutheria, they called it freedom, the very principle they were defending, made unified action nearly impossible. Each polis valued its own independence above any alliance. Miletus chose accommodation, Ephesus chose defiance, Sparta chose a gesture, nobody chose coordination. This paradox, freedom itself preventing the cooperation needed to protect freedom, would haunt every subsequent Greek encounter with Persia, from the Ionian revolt to Marathon to Thermopylae and beyond. So what did this moment set in motion? In that audience chamber at Sardis, two civilizational forces collided for the first time. An empire that believed its destiny was to conquer the world, and a collection of fiercely independent city-states that would rather die than submit. Neither understood the other. Cyrus saw disorganized merchants where there were disciplined warriors. The Greeks saw a barbarian tyrant where there was a sophisticated empire builder. This wasn't merely a diplomatic failure, it was a structural one. The cultural gap was so wide that no herald, however sacred, could bridge it. And so everything that followed, the Ionian revolt, Marathon, Thermopylae, Salamis, flowed from this first encounter, this first failure of recognition. History's greatest conflicts don't always begin with armies. Sometimes they begin with a single word of contempt, spoken to the wrong people about the wrong things at exactly the wrong time.